So here we are, and it is our fourth Monday together for these weekly setup calls. And before we hit record, we were just chatting about how, at least I'll speak from my experience, and I wrote a newsletter about this last week, about how these calls have been so supportive for me and it really is just that commitment to show up and to be present with your work, to be present with your business, and taking that extra little step that perhaps you wouldn't have done anyways that helps build that momentum. So I'm certainly feeling that, as I shared last week. There's been a lot of, what's the word that I want to, how do I want to describe it? There's just been a lot that's come out of these sessions from the momentum that's built, things that have been percolating for a while that are actually moving forward. So that feels exciting for me. Now, before we get into I don't really have much to share today, but before we get into our process for today, I pulled a tarot card. And I pulled, this is from the Wild Unknown, Kim Krantz's tarot deck. And I love this deck. I love the artwork. I love the author's words. And even years and years later, I think I started pulling tarot cards in 2017. I still like to read the meaning. So let's go ahead and I'll read the meaning for this Three of Pentacles, which is really a card of teamwork, determination, and focus, which maybe I want these sessions to be a little bit more evergreen. So I don't want to necessarily speak to the specific astrology that's upcoming. Although we do have some sticky astrology upcoming, there's always going to be sticky astrology. There's always going to be beautiful astrology. And I think that this is a beautiful a reminder card for when things don't necessarily go our way, when maybe we feel the momentum, but then we get pulled back, or something comes up like a family situation or a personal, like an illness or a health thing, is there's power in leaning on your team. So Three of Pentacles, teamwork, determination, focus. And in the tarot, the pentacle cards are all about a lot of it's also known as coins. So think of like material things. A lot of times this does have to do with job, career, but it can also have to do with our home, our bank accounts. So the task ahead is a momentous one, usually related to your job or career. The Three of Pentacles suggests you must focus all of your efforts. Discipline, strategy, and hard work are needed now more than ever. If you become weary or overwhelmed, rely on those around you. This is a card of teamwork, so you may need the strength of others to conquer the mountain. Now, I imagine this card will land differently with different folks at different times, but I do feel like this is a little bit of a, not even like a warning, because that has like a negative connotation, like, oh, something bad is going to happen, but a reminder of, if there is something big that you're looking, like a mountain that you're looking to climb, or a change in your career, or an expansion in your work, you want to have the proper resources and people, mentors, a team, colleagues, whether or not you are in a traditional job where you have, a boss and colleagues, are so important, because there are going to be periods along the way where you get stuck, where you don't know how to move forward, where you do need strategy and guidance. I'm just thinking about, like, if you were to do a big physical task, like climb a mountain or run a marathon, you can do some of the work and there's a lot you can do yourself, but it's also really powerful to have that team or a coach or a guide. So this feels more like I will speak a little bit to the astrology of this week. What's happening this week is a little bit of a precursor for what the upcoming Mercury retrograde is going to be about. And Mercury retrograde is not something to fear, but it is something to be aware of, in the fact that it's a time for review and reflection, and maybe not as much forward moving motion. So even though there are things that we want to start with this, as we move into a new season, it might not go as planned. And so to start to gather the resources now, the team, the supplies, the teachers, the guides that we need in order for our journey that is upcoming. So I hope that resonated with folks, whether you're here live or you're tuning into this replay. What I wanted us to do today is, and I'm just going to allow Sally, if you want to share, you can share, but also no pressure to share. I'd love to hear about a win or a shift or something you want to celebrate from whether you came to one of these calls or one co-working session over the last month, or you tuned into everything. I'd love to just hear one thing. And this is not for my sake, this is for your sake, to say, oh, looking back, like we're at the end of the calendar month, looking back and saying, I did do all of this. And so I sort of already shared my win, but I think it really is committing, moving forward, and starting to put into place a lot, like starting to actually ground the projects that have been up here, like the classes and the workshops and the programs that have been up here floating most of the summer, bringing them into reality, putting them on the schedule, telling people that I'm doing it, working on the website, working on the promotion. So that feels really big. And if you're watching this, just give yourself a moment to think about what's one thing that you want to acknowledge or celebrate, because we often have like the top of the mountain on our mind. And even though we might just keep our eyes there instead of be like, oh my gosh, look at this, look how far I've come. Sally, is there anything that you want to celebrate?
Well, I was just thinking about what you were saying about commitment to yourself and showing up. And this is interesting for me because I work very much on my own. So having an accountability space, I mean, accountability sounds a bit heavy, but just checking in, and actually the co-working thing, I don't have co-workers, so it's nice to actually have that space to take time and think about what you're going to be doing and what you have done, and you can see where your time goes and where you need to spend time.
Yeah, and it's amazing because like I held this space this month, and like I shared with you after or before we started the recording, is I am considering continuing this in some way. I'm not sure what that will look like, but I think the clarity will come this week or this weekend. But it is powerful. Like you can totally do this on your own. It's more fun and easier when someone else does it for you, or there's other people actually showing up that you can, it's easier to bow out by yourself, but to even see like, oh, wow, setting aside 90 minutes a week or setting aside 20 minutes at the beginning of the week to like get down my thoughts and have some more structure and focus and priorities can be so powerful. So you can take these tools and make them your own. Thank you for sharing. So let's go ahead and do our process for the week. We will just dive right in. It's 12:13 here right now. So I'm going to give us 7-8 minutes. And then if we need more time, we'll go with more time. As always, if you need more time, take more time. But just a few minutes for us to brain dump everything that we need and want to do for the week. And if you want to, like I've shared, I sometimes categorize my tasks, or I do categorize my tasks. And you can also, if it comes up for you as you're doing this, highlight one thing that's like your big rock for the week, 1 or 2 things that you really want to get done for this week. Now, I already know what my big rock was because I've been thinking about this, and I've been listening to like some astrology podcasts for the week ahead and that sort of thing. And because we do have the Mercury retrograde shadow starting next week, there are a bunch of like technical planning things that I want to just get down and yeah, like kind of have the schedule and the plan in place, because starting next week, things are going to get a little bit more in that Mercury retrograde zone, which is, again, not a problem. I'm promoting a retreat. I'm going to be enrolling in my business coaching container, in addition to a number of other things during Mercury retrograde. It's not to say your business, your work has to stop, or your life has to stop. But it is powerful if you can have some of the plans laid beforehand, especially anything around travel or technology, or yeah, like travel or technology or communication, and then use the retrograde period as tweaking, refining, going deeper into it. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to put on a little music as we did last week. If you want to mute me, you can mute me. If you don't want the music, if you want your own music, you can do that. And we'll check back in here in like 8-9 minutes or so. Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs as a child. I am born again. Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs as a child. I am born again. Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs as a child. I am born again. Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs as a child. I am born again. Eastern sun, melt the cold from my bones, cut and rise. Take the darkness from my eyes, breathing in, pulling life into my lungs as a child. I am born again. I wanna be free, so free, like a feather blown through the breeze, like a bird in a tree, like a dolphin in the sea. I wanna fly high, so high, like an eagle in the sky. And when my time has come, I'll let it all go with the sigh. Capture my mind. Mama, coming home to the place where I belong. I wanna be free, be me, be the only being that I see. Not to rise and not to fall, be the one with love and all. There is no high, no low, there's nowhere else to go except inside your heart and be just who you are. Capture my mind, to the place where I belong. Capture my mind, to the place where I belong. Capture my mind, coming home to the place where I belong. Capture my mind, coming home to the place where I belong. All right, how are we doing? You can also just give me like a thumbs up or a thumbs sideways. Thumbs up. Cool. Yeah, well, I'm so grateful for everyone who has shown up live to these calls, and those of you who have tuned in to the replays that I've put on YouTube and shared that a piece has been helpful for you, or even just that you're participating in your own flow. For me, that's what makes this sort of work and offering meaningful in all my work. It's not just about like spouting messages out there. It's the interaction and how we can work through this together. So like I said, I am thinking of continuing in some way. Let me know if you have thoughts, if that you'd be into that. And yeah, for this week, we have co-working on Thursday. And also just encouraging everyone to take whatever time you need for yourself, and perhaps even taking a token from the Three of Pentacles to start to, and if you're not sure what the resources or the team or the support is that you need, if you're not even sure what your mountain is going forward, perhaps just asking for more clarity on that this week so that you can start to gather what you need. All right, with that, I wish you a wonderful week. Nice to see you, Miss Sally. And I hope to see you all on the internet soon.